Goed, ons gaan aan. Next we're going to look at formulation. With formulation we specifically mean how we think about writing firstly sentences and then paragraphs and then hopefully putting a few paragraphs together and form pieces. This is something that you can keep in mind, especially when you move on to your literature modules where you'll be doing a lot of analysis and have to write essays. Something you can basically jot down as a step-by-step guide for you to ensure that your structure is correct. But of course, this is also something that requires pre-planning. Ek het altyd as 'n skoolkind gedink, ek gaan my stories skryf want dit is in my kop en dan na die tyd gaan ek beplan daarvan uit afwerk. Dit het goed gewerk toe. Maar die idee daar agter is eintlik maar om jou 'n bietjie aan die gang te sit en te dink oor wat jy wil skryf. En ek wonder baie keer of my stories op skool nie, of my opstel op skool nie soveel beter sou kon gewees het as ek net die nut kon insien om beplanning voor die tyd te doen. Okay, the way we start planning obviously is very obvious because it's not the first time that you have written a story, is by looking at your topic. This is also something that you'll probably have seen in the module Akach. So the topic gives you the central general idea, okay? It's the gist of the text. And what you should look for in a topic is to summarize in its purest form what the text is about. Now you'll see in my discussion for these slides, I've chosen the topic children's literature. See the use of the inverted commas there, as I said in the previous video. And when I plan for this, I will go onto further detail into what I understand as children's literature to be. Okay, following your topic, and this is a part of your planning process, is your main ideas. In most longer writing, excuse ek het water gedrink, you have more than one main idea, where in school writing you obviously only had one main idea in your body paragraphs. Dus hoekom jy ook meer as een paragraaf kry as deel van jou hoofparagraaf in 'n skryfstuk, want nie elke paragraaf is presies dieselfde. There I make the point. Each paragraph in the text will deal with one of these main ideas. I chose the topic of children's literature. I can divide that into the history of children's literature, modern children's literature, and themes in children's literature. As jy byvoorbeeld dink aan die inhoudsopgawe, the table of contents in the front of the book, each of those chapters are different topics emanating from, or different main ideas emanating from the topics. Natuurlik gaan jy nou nie 'n boek skryf nie, maar die idee is presies dieselfde daagter. Elke paragraaf behandel, dit kan 2 paragrawe ook, behandel een van hierdie hoofidees. Okay. Did you also notice none of the main ideas are complete sentences? Okay, this is exactly the planning from the start. What you had the topic with is a summary of what you were going to say, a very condensed summary. It is always expressed as a phrase, and from that you start unpacking what you mean with this. Onthou dit asseblief ook as jy skryf. Then your topic sentence. Ons het nou begin by topic, then we went to a main idea. Then you've got a topic sentence with each paragraph that explains what this main idea is about. You may have more than one paragraph on one main idea, but the topic sentence will be found in the first paragraph, not necessarily always at the start, but mostly at the start. And it states the focus of your paragraph. As I said, it's usually found at the beginning of the paragraph, but sometimes it may be more to the middle to achieve some kind of effect. Kan wees dat jy 'n kort inleiding gee rondom jou daai paragraaf self, maar vermy dit, want dit kan baie keer redelik klink asof jy te veel agtergrond of jou paragraaf probeer laai met agtergrond en nou nie regtig by die punt uitkom. So ideally start your paragraph with a topic sentence. Remember, the topic sentence is representative of the main idea for that paragraph, which emanated as one of the branches of the original topic. The next thing I'd like to say about the topic sentence, there's just some examples. Remember we said our main ideas is the history of children's literature, modern children's literature, and key themes. So there's the first one, history of children's literature. The history of children's literature is rich and dates back to the Greek and Roman times. Dis 'n eenvoudige wegspringsin daai, maar dit is jou tema sin daai wat jou paragraaf gaan bepaal. Modern children's literature has come a long way from fairy tales and increasingly focuses on children and teenagers' problems. Okay, belangrike ding daar, okay, die feit dat dit onmiddellik vir jou sê waaroor dit gaan, and the fact that it that last and increasingly focuses on children's and teenagers' problems gives it a departure point from which to formulate another sentence. Number 3, just again on my topic of children's literature, and my main idea being key themes. Key themes in children's literature include conquering fears, dealing with isolation, and the importance of family, and coping with loss. There, of course, if you follow the comma rule, should be a comma. You can see hierdie stuk het ek gaan leen iewers. So there should be a comma, because the importance of family and coping with loss is not the same concept, two different concepts. Okay, the last slide on topic sentences. In your paragraph, let each sentence follow logically from the previous sentence. Ek het vir julle gesê, met die vorige skyfie, daar is al klaar temas vir jou volgende sin. Focuses on children and teenagers' problems. Daar is ook temas, as jy na hierdie een kyk. Include conquering fears, dealing with isolation, the importance of family, comma, and coping with loss. These could be, you could, for example, if you have a look at one, could give examples of Greek and Roman eras as well as follow-up sentences. So keep that in mind as well. Die groot ding, studente hier agter is eintlik beplan, en dan herhaal jy jou beplanning in jou paragraaf sin. En dan herhaal jy jou beplanning in jou paragraaf self, en dan herhaal jy jou beplanning in die volgende paragraaf. The important thing there basically is each paragraph's topic sentence is then supported by evidence, which, as I said, these these follow up, because they generate new ideas from which to generate new sentences. Good. I'd like to show you a method. It's known as the Peel method, and we'll have a look at what it stands for, as it says in the in your study guide as well. This basically encompasses everything that we've spoken to now. Dit sluit alles wat ons in, waar ons gepraat het nou in. Jy kan ook daaroor gaan lees in jou studiegids. It makes the statement by saying that most paragraphs have the following in common. En jy sal sien daar is 4 punte hierso. 3 punte, ekskuus. Die laaste een moet jy maar net weer gaan kyk. They say the first thing that they have in common is that one sentence states the paragraph's topics. This topic sentence sets the parameters, so dit sê dit is waar die paragraaf gaan, en dit sê basies ook waar die paragraaf nie gaan, of what may be discussed in that paragraph. Secondly, the other sentences in the paragraph contain evidence or supporting detail for the topic's sentence statement. Ek dink dit is belangrik om hierdie punte na te gaan, want mense het so, hoe sal ek dit nou noem, in 'n gewoonte gehad om langer stukke op 'n bepaalde manier in skool te skryf, dat mens nie regtig meer dink oor wat mens doen nie, en mens verby die foute en goed lees. So as jy daai goeders elke keer gaan toepas, gaan jy agterkom iets is fout. Now the third thing is, paragraphs must have a conclusion of some sort. This can be a simple concluding sentence or a transition sentence that links one paragraph to the following paragraph. I must warn you, over the weekend I marked the student's 4th year literary essay, and she gave these conclusions at the end of each of her paragraphs. The problem is the conclusions become too long, and it sounds like she's starting to repeat herself what she said earlier in the paragraph. So the suggestion that I'd like to make is rather write a sentence that links the paragraph that you've just finished with the paragraph that you're about to begin. Typical examples, as I showed you earlier, are these type of sentences. They give ideas of what could possibly follow on in the sentence to come. A sentence on children's problems, a sentence on teenagers' problems, a sentence on children's literature in Greece, children's literature in Rome, a sentence on conquering fears, or on dealing with isolation, on the importance of family, or on coping with loss. So wees versigtig vir daai opsomming, want dit kan baie keer jou paragraaf laat lomp lyk. En dan lyk of jy nie regtig veel tyd daaraan gespandeer het nie, omdat jy so deeglike samevatting weer gee aan die einde van jou paragraaf. Okay, Excuse me. Then we have a look at the supporting sentence types for coherent reading. Daar's verskillende tipes. Ek gaan vir jou 'n paar wys nou. Excuse, ek net water gedrink. The first one being reasons. Okay, so why must children be taught to love literature? Because it's impressionable. So let's read the reason there. Children must be taught to love literature from a young age. The younger a person, the more impressionable he or she is. Therefore, the habit of reading and the love thereof are more easily fostered at an early age. There's a concluding sentence. That's not too bad for a concluding sentence. It uses the correct wat maak ek kan nou nie, dis 'n oorgangswoord daai, ek kan nou nie onthou wat dit is nie, maar in elk geval there's your introductory, your concluding sentence, that is fine, okay, maar wees versigtig om nie nog een daarop te skryf en nog een daarop te skryf nie, dan word jou afsluiting van hierdie paragraaf word langer as die paragraaf self. So reasons is your first one. Your second one, possible consequences. Children must be taught to love literature from a young age. Sien julle daai twee sinne is dieselfde. Okay, nou sê hulle hoekom. So daai sin is jou temas in jou topic sentence. Kan net terugkom daar. Ekskuus, net so oomblik. Possible consequences. If children grow up without the example of an adult who appreciates literature, then it is much less likely that they will enjoy reading as adults themselves. Once they are grown up, they are also not very likely to instill a love for reading in their own children. So kan julle hierso sien, daar is die thema sin, daar is die supporting sentences, okay, and there's the concluding sentence again, because it basically repeats what's said here, growing up, okay, and that how likely children are to read if they had read when they were small children. Okay, you can also use examples. There's your topic sentence again. Children must be taught to love literature from a young age. One way of grabbing, there's your supporting sentences. One way of grabbing children's attention is by introducing them to books on which movies or television series have been based. For example, daar kom jy voorbeelde in, The Hobbit, Narnia, and Nancy Drew. Dit is basies voorbeelde van die stelling wat daar met daai ondersteunende sin gemaak is. The next one, quotations. Children must be taught to love literature from a young age. This supports that topic sentence, as James, cited in the Literacy Company 2012, argues. Kyk hoe mooi gebruik hulle die colon there and the inverted commas. So it is with children who learn to read fluently and well. That should be a semicolon. They begin to take flight into whole new worlds as effortlessly as young birds take to the sky. Great metaphor there. Closed inverted commas. That should be a semicolon. As I said, I borrowed this piece. Okay, so you've got your quotation. Your quotation basically supports that topic sentence that you made there. The only thing that is missing here is basically a concluding sentence. So either to introduce us to the next paragraph or to summarize what it said here. That is missing here, and that's that you should look out for when you use quotations. Statistics is another form of supporting sentence types that you can use. Children must be taught to love literature from a young age. There's your topic sentence again. Disadvantaged students in the first grade have a vocabulary that is approximately half that of an advantaged student, 2,900 and 5,800 words respectively, according to Graves. So they've got a combination there of quotations. One of the main reasons for this is that advantaged students are usually exposed to books from a much younger age than are disadvantaged students. So your statistics lies in the numbers, in the comparison they show here. And then there is a bit of a summary sentence here as well, because they speak of the two types of students again, and then they say what the main reason behind this is. Anecdotes, anekdote in Afrikaans. There's your topic sentence again. Children must be taught to love literature from a young age. I can attest to this from my own experience. My earliest memories are of reading naughty books with my mother before going to bed. Even today, I cannot help sleep without reading a few pages of whatever book lies on my nightstand. So dit beteken basies die skrywer het terug na sy persoonlike verwysing gegaan, 'n persoonlike storie. Dis nie noodwendig iets wat mens altyd sal doen in akademiese skryfwerk. The next one there, analogies. There's your topic sense again. Analogie, dinge wat dieselfde is, maar wat jy 'n ander voorbeeld gebruik om dit te verduidelik. Children must be taught to love literature from a young age. A child who loves books enters a classroom like a warrior with a sword entering a battlefield. So they're comparing the child whose weapon is books to a warrior whose weapon is a sword. And we can say the battlefield they're referring to is life in general as well. Wat kinders leer en hoe hulle op die lewensuitdagings reageer. That is the typical analogy that you find there as well. Okay, we're moving on to the next section, if I'm not mistaken, and that is specifically word variations. Julle sal bekend wees met baie van hier goeders. Ek gaan dit nie eksplisiet vir julle leer nie. Julle sal sien daar's lyste vir almal. Ek verwag dat jy daai lys ken, maar wees ook slim hoe jy dit doen. Ken ten minste een of 'n paar van daai goeders, so jy hoef nie nodig alles te gaan ken nie. Spesifiek by die sinonieme en antonieme. En as ek jou uitvra, dan weet jy daai is die een en jy kan dit gaan gee. Okay. The basic word variations that we know of is firstly our root words, okay, which can be affixed with either a prefix at the front of the root word or a suffix at the end of the root word. But be careful, as I saw marking some other work over the weekend, people tend to want to invent new words as well. Ek gaan nie vir jou 'n punt gee as ek vir jou vra vir 'n woord met 'n prefix aandui en dit is 'n woord wat nie bestaan nie. So think very carefully when you think of an example to give. Okay, then if we move on, we've got polysemy. Okay, ons gaan nou spesifiek kyk na soort woorde wat of dieselfde klink en dieselfde gespel word, of dieselfde klink en anders gespel word, en dan met jou antonieme en sinonieme dieselfde betekenis het, of teenoorgestelde betekenis het. Polysemy, poly meaning lots, refers to words that are spelled the same but have various meanings. So various meanings is what poly is about. An example would be the word arm, which refers to a limb, your arm, okay, to which all humans, that should be a double L, have naturally two. You can also refer the same concept, met ander woorde, 'n ding wat by jou liggaam aansluit, to a related company or organization of a main, mother or body company using the same semantics of the word, dieselfde betekenis of the word arm as a body limb. So I can say, for example, Audi is an arm of the Volkswagen company. Okay. Audi behoort aan Volkswagen en hulle is in Afrikaans praat ons van 'n sy van die of 'n vertakking, ekskuus, van die Volkswagen maatskappy. Other examples include run. Okay, I can run a race, but I can also run a machine or run a course. We don't physically run, I just control it. Head. Okay, typically the head on your head and the head of an organization. Wat typies beteken die hoof, die persoon wat soos jou kop, jou lyf beheer die organisasie. A foot, something right at the end. Okay, a body, as we've seen. And then drive, for example, where you can drive a golf ball on the golf course or drive a car as well. It means to send it into a particular direction. That is what polysemy is about. Please be sure you know the difference between these specific terms. That's the first one. Okay. The second one is homonymy. Okay. Dealing with homonyms. It's related to polysemy, but it can be confusing. It refers to two words that are pronounced and spelled the same, but have two different unrelated meanings. Okay, the example includes the word bank, which is the place where you save your money. It can also refer to the riverbank, the side of a river. Okay, another word is bat. In other words, the instrument you use to play a game, like a cricket bat, or bat, the flying mammal that you also get. Can you see that there's no relation to them? Then race, as in running a race or referring to the different races that we find as well. Pupil, which refers to the hole in your eye that opens and closes as it lets light in, depending on how good or bad or poor the light is. Or then the pupil of a school. The word mole, which means that little animal which digs around in the soil, but it could also refer to a spy. Okay, a leak in an organization is called a mole. as vir die van julle wat Lion King ooit gekyk het, waar Simba en Mufasa Simba is nog 'n klein leeuwtjie in hulle gebied rondloop, en Zazu is daarby, en hy praat allerlei nonsensies, en dan kom hy eweskielik 'n mol op, en dan sê hy, Sire, news from the underground. Dis eintlik nog al 'n baie snaakse ding daai, maar dit is tipies wat al twee gevalle verduidelik, want hy is 'n spioen, en hy is natuurlik 'n mol wat onder die grond rondkruip ook. Then of course, the last word there, mule. Now, a mule is a animal that is a cross between a horse and a donkey, and it cannot, once that cross is taken place, it cannot necessarily, not necessarily, it cannot breed again, so jy kan nie 'n aparte spesie vestig nie, maar jy het die goeie eienskappe van beide perd en 'n donkie, baie goeie pakdiere. Okay, so that's the first instance. The second instance is someone that is transporting something for someone else, often illegal, so it could be a drug mule. Okay, transporting drugs not for their own use, but they get paid to take it through the airport or wherever to be sold by the person that sent them in the next destination. So polysemy, words that have the same semantic meaning, so the same word that can have the same semantic meaning in terms of structure. Homonymy, of homonyms, which are words that are spelled the same but have two different meanings. And then we move on to homophony. Okay. So die eerste een was homonyme, en nou is dit homofone. Two or more words that have the same pronunciation but are spelled differently. Onthou, foon is in terme van wat jy hoor. Okay. En niem is in terme van wat jy dink in terme van wat het is. Die betekenis agter. Goed, dit was nou 'n slegte voorbeeld. Maar in elk geval. So you've got the examples there, bear and bear. So bear, the first one is the animal. Bear is om te ontbloot. Dit kan 'n saak wees, of dit kan 'n liggaamsdeel wees, of wat ook al. Pale, which is pale, which is nou vreemd met pyle en pear saam is. Dit moet seker pear, P-E-A-R wees. Weer eens, een of andere pyl daar ingesluit. Pear is in the fruit, and then pear as in two. Then heir, believe it or not, that's how you spell an heir, an opvolger. Okay, Prince Charles is the heir to the British throne. In other words, when his mother, Queen Elizabeth, dies, he becomes the new king. And then heir, the air that we breathe. That heir with an H, of course, comes from French origin. But keep in mind that's how it's spelled. Then flower, soos 'n meel, and flower, soos 'n blommetjie. There, met ander woorde, hulle is in, en there, met ander woorde, daarso. Those are all homophones. So homonyms are words that are pronounced and spelled the same way, but they have two different meanings. Homophones are words that sound the same, but they are spelled differently and obviously have different meanings. And then polysemy are words that, or one word that has more than one use, but with the same semantic meaning in terms of what it refers to. Goed, kom ons kyk wat volgende vir ons wag. En dit is spesifiek, as my meisie wil saamwerk, synonymy en antonymy. Dis nou eenvoudig net die maklike manier om te sê synonyme en antonyme. Synonyms are obviously two words that have the same meaning. Dog and canine, cat and feline, country and state. Jy sal onthou by in Afrikaans sê ons synonyme, die S staan vir selfde. Antonyms, die A staan vir anders. Antonyms refer to two words that have the exact opposite meaning. Maar dit moet nie teenoorgestelde betekenis wees. Dit kan nie twee random woorde wees. So inside and outside, warm and cool, big and small, long and short. Okay, goed. Wat dit nou betref is, julle sal sien daar is lyste daar. Wat die eksamen betref, kan ek van jou verwag om daai lyste te ken en byvoorbeeld die synonyme en die antonyme te gee. Ek sal nie sommer die homofone en die homonyme in so 'n manier vra nie. Ek mag dit in 'n sin stel wat jy dan een moet kies. Jy moet daai goed gaan kies. Maar weet ten minste een, byvoorbeeld die synonyme en antonyme, een van die woorde wat synoniem of antoniem van 'n ander woord is. Wat julle E-klas toets betref, ek gaan die E-klas toets vir julle gee rondom run-on sentences what I'll do is I'll give you a couple of sentences. It's going to be a match one with match the other one. I'll give you the sentence. I'll ask you, the basic question is, where must the sentence, let me put it to you like this, where must the one independent clause end with a full stop, and where does the next other one end? So your answer will be at the end of this word and at the start of this word. So jy gaan nou 2 woorde moet kies en dan met mix and match op die E-klas toets. Maar ek sal dit weer verder verduidelik sodra ons dit opsit. Julle, ek wil vir julle baie dankie sê vir julle tyd. Onthou asseblief vanmiddag vanaand se vergadering. Dankie hoor, totsiens.